Hello, everybody. Welcome to the community call of today. A reminder: this call will be recorded, so please turn off your camera if you don't want to be you don't want to show your face in the video, and please be kind to each other. We are following the CNCF requirements. So I will be the MC today. Please complete the HackMD. I just shared with you the HackMD link in the chat. You will also find it in the event calendar. Today, we have one highlight. As you know, we released Falco 0.31 last Monday. It was 1 week, 10 days ago. Thank you again for everybody who was involved. And we released in the end of last week the M chart for deploying this version in your clusters. Just keep in mind, even if Falco 0.31 is able to manage plugins, with the M chart is not already ready for it. You can't easily deploy plugins and Falco instances with those plugins in your communities clusters. The main topics currently is when you run Falco with a plugin, you can run at only one plugin by Falco instance, and you can't have both syscalls and plugins running at the same time in the engine. So this is why we have to deal with the M chart, how to create several instances of Falco, one for syscalls, of course, and in a daemon set, because we need to have Falco running on each node, and one instance per plugin with less permissions, because plugins don't need to have access to commands. This will be our topics soon. So I know Leo, Jason, I will work on that. But if anybody in the community have ideas they want to share them with or work on it, feel free to propose your solution. We're glad to review it and help you soon. So for the agenda today, we have Helm. Up the correct pronunciation. He wants to share us an idea about Seccomp. So please, Helm, it's the stage is yours.
Yes, so that the idea is something I have been working on, and I wanted to share to see if it makes sense. That's something that should work with Falco, or if it doesn't make sense, that should be something else. And I don't know if people in the meeting are aware with Seccomp Notify, which is a new feature in the kernel, or if I should give an introduction to that first.
Maybe you can say a word about.
Yes, so Seccomp itself is something that exists for a while, a long time. So you can write Seccomp profile in your Kubernetes cluster. But Seccomp Notify is something new in kernel, I think 5.9 or something like that. And which is something which has been implemented in RunC 1.1, which was released a couple of weeks ago. And what it does is you can write Seccomp profiles. In addition to say allow a system call or deny a system call, you can say notify, which will notify an external daemon, which I call the Seccomp Agent. And then the Seccomp Agent will be able to decide what to do with that system call, to let it run or block it or do something else. So that's something new, and I use this to be able to be notified when a Kubernetes pod does a system call that I don't want to allow, and I want to take this time to either kill the full container or to freeze the container with a cgroup freeze to be able to gather the state of all the process, the stack, the sockets, or whatever for forensics later. So made proof of concept code at this URL on the Seccomp Agent.
The first link or the second one? The first one?
Well, the first one is for the if I want to kill a pod when bad system call occurs, it's done synchronously, so the container doesn't have the opportunity to let it run. And the second one is the same thing, but instead of killing the container, I freeze it with the Seccomp subsystem.
Okay.
Yeah. So at the moment, that just this pull request frees the container but doesn't do anything else. But the idea is someone, an administrator, could then inspect the pod and look at the rootfs or see if there are sockets or something that is wrong in the container. But maybe it could be integrated with something else like Falco, if we want to reuse the Falco rules. Or yeah, I just heard today about this new Falco project.
Talon.
Talon, yes.
And that was a question I had. Maybe you have the answer about that. This is exactly something I wanted to add in Talon, a kind of pause of container of pod to be able to investigate inside after. But I didn't search right now what happens about probes for this pod. If you freeze it, probes will be key all. We have a downtime for the control plane about this pod. So are you sure it will not be terminated by the control plane to be replaced because it's frozen? I don't know the behavior in Kubernetes for that.
Yes, I think it might be killed after some time. Like if you have a liveness probe in the Kubernetes pod defined.
Okay.
Yeah, I've not done so much test, so I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Because it's useful to be able to pause it, but if it's determined a few seconds after by the control plane, it's useless. So okay.
Right. But if it is automatic, like some process gather the stacks, the list of sockets, list of process, whatever in the container, then those few seconds might be enough for that. I think if there is no liveness probe, then I don't think it will be killed because the Kubernetes doesn't have a way to know that it's frozen.
Okay, so this is maybe something we could think about. We have to change the probes for this pod by something which returns true always by updating the pod itself, and then after we can pause it. That's just an idea. I just want to share with you because I had this in mind. So keep going. Sorry.
Okay, I don't have much more to say. So this is just a proof of concept that's nothing to do with Falco so far, but I wanted your opinion if there's something that should be integrated somehow, or
it's something you eventually, like Keenbook, would actually maintain as well as part of, like, that's the other part of it as well, is just trying to understand. It's like, hey, so this work gets done, and then how does that how do we move forward with it from that perspective? Just curious.
For now, I don't know yet. For now, that's a proof of concept, and I don't know. I don't know if that will be something used or not. So that's just a brainstorming for now.
Is this something you wanting to like contribute at the driver level, at the core level? I'm just curious. Like, I know we talked a little bit about Talon, we talked a little bit about plugins and those and the like and that type of thing. I mean, I know it literally gave it to you like 2 hours ago. So it's hard to digest a lot of that data, but maybe that's something as a takeaway to figure out like what exactly that contribution would be. Anyway, just a thought.
I think the Seccomp Agent could act as a Falco plugin, like because Falco will not only take the as a new data source in addition to the other plugins, and then if Falco decide that with these rules that it's something which will generate an event, then Falco Talon could I don't know gather things in the pod while it's frozen.
So let me understand. Basically, we have two pieces. One piece is just to provide this new data source that can be applied Okay, and this I believe it's independent of other parts. Then you, with this new information, you can create new rules for Falco, and those rules maybe can respond to some action using Talon. Is this your idea?
Yes, I guess. But it's not
Okay.
more defined than this at this stage. That's just an idea.
Yeah. No, just because I want to understand if are two separate things. Okay, because I think the Seccomp Notify can be used as a new data source, and if I remember correctly, maybe there was some times ago a user that tried to do something like that, that proposed something like that, if I remember correct. But it was before the plugin system. Now with the plugin system, it could be easy. It could be easier to implement that. Just my thoughts.
There's always been an ask for if a Falco rule is triggered to be able to gather details about a pod, right? So like mem dump or something like that, right? Usually is, and I think we've talked about that in previously. I think there's, you know, tools that do that use some of those capabilities. But Albin, it would be nice to kind of understand like see if, like you said, a POC and see how that would work and then I think bringing it back to the community meeting and being like, hey, this is something like we can move forward with. So. It's great. By the way, great thought process, Albin. It's awesome to to have our friends from Keen Vulcan involved in doing some cool stuff with Falco. So appreciate it.
Welcome.
What I see too is if we have a plugin for Seccomp Agent or directly Notify, I don't know exactly, but if we have a plugins for them, and we'll be able to have all event streams in Falco, we can effectively have rules and triggers, actions, whatever actions we may have. It can be at different levels. We can, because as what I'm saying, that is Seccomp is acting at the kernel level, but we could also have levels at Kubernetes level, network policies level, etc. But if you have Falco in your chain, you will also have Cyclic, and you will be able to connect this event to anything you have in your ecosystem. So you don't have to manage that in Seccomp Agent for notification into Slack, Kubernetes, email, etc. You will be directly access to the whole power of Cyclic and stuff.
Yes, that's a very good point, because that's not something I want to implement all in Seccomp Agent. That will not make sense.
Okay, I like that. Nice project. I didn't know that. Thank you, Matt. Are you done, Herman? Or you want to add something else?
No, I'm done. Thanks.
So I think it makes sense. Is it useful? We'll see after we see the pocket in concept, of course, right? And also the other part of this is, like I said, just bringing it to to the group and figuring it out, and yeah, it would be awesome. So
yeah, I believe just the POC of a plugin, it would be really useful to understand if this is used for or not. I believe yes, but you can try. And by the way, if you need any help with developing a plugin, just ask. We would be happy to help you.
Yeah. And ideally, like again, cart before the horse, it would be kind of cool to do like a blog post about it, right? Seccomp is, it's a great talk, talk track for people in security, and seeing it married with Falco would be an awesome blog post. So I'm not trying to give you more work, Alvin. Sure, you have enough to do, but I've added something to your plate there. I'm glad to help you out with that as well.
About plugins, we have several blog posts which are planned to be written about how to start developing a plugin for Falco. So I'm doing that like this. So I can share with you some proof of concepts plugins which are really, really simple to understand how the Go plugin SDK works, and how so we will be able, by reading the code, the source code, to write your own plugin. So after these beginners and advanced users blog post, if we can have a real use case from an external guy like you, Alban, it will be really useful to show people, okay, we explain you how to write a plugin. Here an example of someone who did it for a real world use case. Any other topic today?
Going to bring up something to everybody. If there's the deadline for a couple of co-located events for Valencia, there's two. There's the I think for Cloud Native Security Day as well as for eBPF Day. You all should, if anybody's thinking about submitting anything in terms of talks for Falco, please, feel free. There's a lot of really cool topics that we're seeing and stuff like that. But if anybody out there is thinking about something and kind of need some feedback, glad to assist there as well.
And just for ending, if anybody is new in this community call, you're welcome, of course. Thanks for joining us. And if you want to present yourself, introduce what you do, please do so. You're welcome.
Hey folks, my name is Matt. I am a new Falco user. I'm a security engineer at Figma, and I'm in the middle of a sort of a POC deployment of Falco right now. I also did attempt to write a Falco plugin last week, and I hit some limitations, which we discussed in Slack. But I'm interested to see explore more, like as the API surface for plugins expands, to be able to do more of the things I was wanting to do. Yeah, it's nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Matt.
Welcome, Matt. Appreciate good to have a face behind the name, and really welcome to the community. And really happy you're really happy that Figma is looking at using Falco. And if there's anything we can do to support you, we are here for you.
Welcome.
So I think we are done for today. 20 minutes. Okay, so we have the last topics of each security call. Who wants to be the MC next week? Don't be all volunteer at the same time. Okay, this is something you have 1 week left to decide or to propose yourself, or me or someone else will do it for sure. So thank you everybody for your time. Thank you for joining us. We are more and more each week. I think sometimes we'll not be able to see every faces in the same Zoom page. So this is great. Thank you a lot. Have a great week, and don't hesitate to share your work, your feedback, or anything else you may have about Falco. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.